to the Movies Past and Present podcast. It's July 3rd, 2019, and this is episode 27. I'm your host, Stanford Clark, and I'm podcasting from the crossroads of the West in beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. Just like my blog, moviespastandpresent.com, I'll be providing recommendations, commentary, and reviews about current and classic cinema. Thanks for tuning in, and let's get started. Happy U.S. Independence Day, everyone. I'm releasing the podcast a day earlier than I typically do. But I just hope everyone has a great holiday and that you're going to be safe and have fun. We've got two new films this week, and both of them opened midweek. First up is another horror film. Shocking. This one's called MIDSOMMAR. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's from A24 Pictures. This movie is directed by Ari Aster, who directed last year's indie horror hit Hereditary. And I'm sure you'll be shocked to know that I missed that one. And I am also going to miss this one. This movie, here's the summary. Danny, spelled D-A-N-I, and Christopher are a young American couple with a relationship on the brink of falling apart. But after a family tragedy keeps them together, a grieving Danny invites herself to join Christian and his friends on a once-in-a-lifetime trip to a midsummer festival in a remote Swedish village. What begins as a carefree summer holiday in a land of eternal sunlight takes a sinister turn when the insular villagers invite their guests to partake in festivities that render the pastoral paradise increasingly unnerving and viscerally disturbing. This film looks absolutely awful, if you're me. It's rated R by the Motion Picture Association of America for disturbing ritualistic violence and grisly images, strong sexual content, graphic nudity, drug use, and language. And, yuck. So, now for something completely different. We've got a new Spider-Man movie. This one's called Spider-Man Far From Home. It's from Columbia Pictures and Marvel Studios. It's brought to you by the same creative team as 2017's hit Spider-Man Homecoming. And I will be reviewing this film in today's podcast. So more on that in a bit. But just as a quick summary, this movie picks up right where Avengers Endgame leaves off. This movie has Peter Parker and his classmates off on a European summer trip. And you might have noticed that in some of the marketing campaign that it's all got kind of a travel theme. But of course, stuff happens and Spider-Man has to save the day. So more to follow. But Spider-Man Far From Home is rated PG-13 for sci-fi action violence, some language, and brief suggestive comments. So for your Independence Day weekend, you've got MIDSOMMAR and Spider-Man Far From Home. For reviews this week, as I just mentioned, I'm going to be reviewing the new Spider-Man film, Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, this movie is from Columbia Pictures, but also in conjunction with Marvel Studios. Again, thankfully, Marvel Studios made a deal with Sony to really reboot the Spider-Man films and bring at least the live action ones, and bring Spider-Man into the Marvel cinematic universe that Marvel Studios has created. So, Spider-Man's been in these last couple Avengers movies, and, Tony Stark / Iron Man has played a big role. He was a big part of Spider-Man Homecoming, which was the first of these reboot movies that happened a couple years ago. So anyway, this is a continuation of basically that Spider-Man Homecoming film from 2017, as well as the next film right after the Avengers Endgame movie. Literally, this movie picks up right after the events of Avengers Endgame. And it provides a really great, actually quite a funny summary of the craziness of everything that happened in that in those Avengers Infinity War and then Avengers Endgame. But we find Spider-Man, of course, Peter Parker, back in school, and just being a teenager. His Aunt May knows he's Spider-Man, and so they're working together. Aunt May, again, is played by Marissa Tomei. And Peter Parker is going to be going on a summer trip with some of his classmates, and they're going to Europe. And so, really, the main three classmates are his buddy Ned, who's again played by Jacob Batalon, and then MJ, who's played by Zendaya. Now, Peter has really got the hots for MJ. He's not sure she really knows that he's alive, but there's all this teenage romance angst really thrown in there, and that's a big part of the plot. But it turns out that there is a real threat going on in Europe, and Nick Fury, who is back again in these Marvel movies, again played by Samuel L. Jackson, really wants Peter Parker / Spider-Man to help them try to fight off this threat. Partly because the Avengers really, as far as he's concerned, are no longer. And Tony Stark had put so much trust in Peter, he was thinking that he could probably do the same thing too. So Peter, again, which is what I think just makes this particular series really great, is that he's getting torn in these different directions. He just wants to be a normal kid, but he's got now this power as well as kind of all this cool tech that Tony Stark has given him, and he's got this ability to really be a hero and help. So he's very torn, and that's, I think, what makes it really interesting. So the main villain in this movie is Mysterio, who is played by Jake Gyllenhaal. And it takes it a minute, a bit for Mysterio to finally, reveal himself and his true motives. And of course, they're bad. But Jake Gyllenhaal plays a great villain. I think Mysterio's a cool villain, and it really puts some big obstacles in front of Peter / Spider-Man. Now, as the movie progresses, the way that what Mysterio is doing, and again, I'm really not going to give that much away. I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's pretty high tech what Mysterio is doing, and it puts Peter in this really kind of weird, surreal world as he's fighting him. And this isn't really a complaint, but it feels a lot like a video game. But I still was able I don't know, the whole thing kind of made me feel like a kid again, and I just had a ball watching it. So again, through the great stuff going on with Peter and his teenage angst, and the absolutely terrific supporting cast, and really, Tom Holland, who plays Peter Parker, just his great, really great performance. So I thought that Spider-Man Far From Home was an absolute blast. And I really, I just really enjoyed it. Thought it was a perfect summer movie. And again, I didn't think it took itself too seriously, but it took itself seriously enough that stuff felt like it mattered. And as we've been well taught, with any Marvel movie, stay through the credits. And it's just going to be really interesting to see where these Marvel Studios films go. Hopefully we'll learn a little bit more this summer from both Disney's D23 Expo and then And then I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure if Marvel Studios is presenting it at San Diego Comic-Con. But still, hopefully this summer we'll have a bit of an idea, at least what some of these next titles are that are going to be happening, and how where the journey is going to take us. So again, thought Spider-Man Far From Home was really fun, and I hope that you can go and let your inner kid enjoy a fun time at the movies this summer. Okay, for Classic Cinema Corner, I want to give you an update about my TCM Essentials viewing project. As you might recall, if you've been listening to the podcast at all or reading my blog, I've been trying to watch a movie a week from this book put out by Turner Classic Movies called The Essentials: 52 Must-See Movies and Why They Matter. Basically, it's just a year of must-see movies, and they're not claiming that these are the best movies ever made, but they're really good movies. They're not ranked, but they are presented in chronological order. So these movies that I saw, one from 1945, one from 1947, and 1948. These are actually, so many of the films of the 52 in the book I have already seen before, and it's been really fun to revisit them in this kind of a format. But these three movies, they were all three new to me, and so I just want to go over them and just give you a brief summary and maybe give you some ideas of three new movies that you might want to check out if you're so inclined. First up was a melodrama called Leave Her to Heaven. Again, this one was from 1945. This movie stars Gene Tierney and Cornel Wilde. And Gene Tierney plays a woman named Ellen who's crazy. we don't really learn that until a bit into the movie, but holy smokes, this woman is nuts. So she's got some serious daddy issues, and she's got some serious jealousy issues. So she and Cornel Wilde, he plays a guy named Richard. He's an author. So he writes novels, and they meet on a train and really fall instantly in love. They're very attracted to each other, and they get married rather quickly. And that probably wasn't the best decision that Richard has made in his life. But anyway, soon things start to begin to unravel. It turns out that Ellen just has got some incredible jealousy issues. Ellen's mother says, really, just Ellen loves too much. That's the quote. And maybe that's it. I just think she's nuts. But this film, it's directed by John Stahl, but really I think the winner is the cinematographer, because this movie has got the most gorgeous Technicolor in it. It was really a pleasure to watch. I watched it on DVD, and it was a restoration of it. So it was a nice print of this film. But what's interesting though, and part of it why it's so unsettling. In fact, that's what the author Jeremy Arnold, who wrote this Essentials book, that I'm following, in the essay on Leave Her to Heaven, Jeremy Arnold talks about how unsettling it is that the movie looks so beautiful, and particularly it's very flattering of Gene Tierney, of this character. She always looks so beautiful, but she's so awful. So that really does make it add to the kind of the ease and the tension, or the uneasiness and the tension involved in this film. And it really, and Jeremy Arnold mentioned this, it really could be labeled film noir, even though it's in Technicolor, just given the the unsettling thematic elements of it. But Robert Osborne, who was the one of the original, well, actually the original host of TCM, and was part of this Essentials project too before he passed away. He thinks it's one of the great films of the 1940s. That it's a perfect combination of entertainment, beauty on the screen, visuals on the screen, music. It's got this great score by Alfred Newman, and then the terrific story that really stirs up your emotions. So Leave Her to Heaven, really an interesting, creepy melodrama, but beautifully made, beautiful to look at, and a really interesting, very interesting film. Next up was a movie from 1947 called Out of the Past. Now this one is a true film noir, filmed in black and white, directed by Jacques Tourneur. And Jeremy Arnold, again the author, mentions what interesting thing that Tourneur does in films throughout his career is that he makes them incredibly beautiful and strangely hopeful, even though, like in this film, things are really quite pitch black. This has got a lot of the classic elements of film noir. It stars Robert Mitchum and Jane Greer. Robert Mitchum plays a former private detective who has been involved with some bad people and some bad stuff, and he tries to start over in a small town. So he leaves Los Angeles and moves to a small town in California, and he gets involved with another woman. Is trying to have a more healthy relationship, but he gets pulled back into his old life by a gangster that he once worked for, played by Kirk Douglas, and then also pulled back in by a really treacherous ex-lover who's again played by Jane Greer. She is really kind of the ultimate femme fatale, and duplicitous and really evil to the core, but then again just incredibly gorgeous. So classic film noir, really a movie that in a lot of ways propelled Robert Mitchum's career, and I just really was quite taken with it. Great performances, not necessarily a lot of surprises in the plot. To say, I mean, I guess yes and no. I mean, when you know some of the stuff about the genre, and then also I had read the essay that Jeremy Arnold put in the Essentials book, so I felt a bit prepared for it. But Out of the Past, if you like film noir, really was a cool watch. I was able to rent this on Apple iTunes or Apple Movies or whatever they're going to be calling it once iTunes goes away. But it was easily found on the iTunes store, and was just able to rent that and watch it on my Apple TV. And then finally, from 1948, I watched The Red Shoes. Now this is a British film about a ballerina who's torn between her art and love. It also is in glorious Technicolor, and I mean glorious. It was really a pleasure to watch, and I think that was part of the highlight, was just how beautiful this film is to look at. The main actress is a British woman named Moira Shearer, and she's an excellent dancer, and a lot of this film is actually ballet sequences, a big chunk of it, and very artistically done with a lot of technical wizardry, again, particularly for the era. And I think too, ballet really captures ballet on screen in a way that it might not have been captured before. It's loosely based on a Hans Christian Andersen story called The Red Shoes, which is a story that I don't ever remember reading, but you know, those original fairy tales are often tragic, and this movie is tragic too. But I was really quite smitten with it. One interesting thing, and Jeremy Arnold mentions this too, it's an interesting film about artists working together with other artists, and just the creation of art and the emotional journey that whole, well, and also just the work involved in creating art. And so it's an interesting look into that world too. But really, it's this how this ballerina is torn between being devoted to her art or pursuing a relationship that she's in. So, The Red Shoes is another one to consider. Now, it's a possibly a little weird and very arty. Speaking of art, definitely the definition of an art film, and that being the case, I watched it on the Criterion channel, of which I'm a subscriber. That streaming service that Criterion is now running, and so if you want to see The Red Shoes, it's right now available on the Criterion channel if you subscribe to it. And there were also some bonus features which I haven't watched yet, but I think I'd like to, given that I just found the film so interesting. I'll have links to these films on the podcast notes on my blog, so you can find where I got them or I was able to watch them in case you're interested. But again, 3 really interesting films from the late 1940s: Leave Her to Heaven, Out of the Past, and The Red Shoes. Okay, for recommendations, I'm recommending again Pixar Animation Studios' brilliant Toy Story 4, which is now playing in theaters. If you haven't already seen it, I think you should go. And again, know that even though you maybe felt done with the Toy Story story in after Toy Story 3, this movie is really, really terrific and beautifully done, supremely entertaining, and really thought-provoking. So go see Toy Story 4. Again, really, really a great movie, and probably my favorite movie of the summer so far. Well, thank you for listening to the Movies Past and Present podcast. Again, links and more information about all of the movies discussed in today's podcast can be found in the podcast notes on my blog at moviespastandpresent.com. As always, I hope you will enjoy some good movies this week, whether they be from the past or the present. Until next time, happy 4th of July again, and thank you.